Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of May 27th, 2013. Welcome to the site to you new members and welcome back to the old. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it. So please send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and it is the best way to get the most out of the site. It is collabs. It has officially started. We are here and we are rocking and rolling. You cannot possibly understand the excitement that's going on. Wow. Wowie, wow, wow. I am very excited to let everybody here on KennyRoy.com know that there are going to be free webcasts that you can watch on the homepage of KennyRoy.com all throughout collabs. These special guest speakers are be coming and working with the students, but I'm also going to be doing a 1-hour webcast, just a Q&A session with these people and sort of hear a little bit about their story and get some advice. So it's a really amazing chance for you to get some extra goodness out of the site. You have to be a member to watch the replay of the webcasts, but anyone can watch from the homepage. So check that out. Check it out on KennyRoy.com. You might notice that I have a brand new lighting setup. I'm hoping that it is. I'm hoping that you like it, and I hope that you think that the video looks a lot better. Part of what I'm trying to do is make everything, just plus it up just a little bit. So if you do like it, let me know. Send me an email or send me a Ask Video Mail question. I really do need Ask Video Mail questions. Don't sit back and expect the rest of the members here to drive the content for you. What do you want to hear about? What are you stuck on? You can even send me your Maya file. I'd love to get Maya files because I can open them up right on screen and show you what's going on. This week's question, I've saved, like last week I answered a question that I get a lot. This is a question that I have received very many times, and I think it's finally time to answer it. But in doing so, I want to say that I'm not going to rule out doing a lecture on this topic as well, because it's a really big topic, but I wanted to answer just a few things about it that I think are pertinent for an Ask Video Mail. So let's check out the question. Okay, cool. So I get this question a lot. I picked this one and this animator's name, but this has been asked to me at least 10 times on KennyRoy.com through the Ask Video Mail system. And basically, so I wanted to go through a few things that are important to consider when you're doing a multi-character shot where they're going to be basically heavy interaction. The biggest thing that you need to understand is the concept of contact. I have a lecture. It's I think it's one of the first, or maybe the second lecture I ever did. It was on contact. I gave this lecture to a group of students. I think it was at an Autodesk event in. Was it Autodesk? Gosh, I can't remember. I can't remember what event it was. But I gave it to a live audience and I recorded it, and it's in the store right now. It's one of the kind of those meat and potatoes kinds of lectures. It's 90 minutes long and it's just on contact. But rather than force you to go and watch that, if you're interested, you can watch it at, after this you watch this video mail. But rather than force you to watch it in order to understand what I'm talking about, basically what I've noticed is that the concept of contact is very greatly misunderstood and misused by students right when they're starting out. And here's basically my breakdown of that. Well, I'm going to use this bright green roll of duct tape. This is perfect. Okay, so when you have two objects that are contacting each other, our eyes are really good at seeing the subtlety of slow in and slow out, and seeing when the arcs of objects change. So what that means is that if you, let's say, threw this a roll of tape and it was coming and you were going to catch it, right? What I find is that people keyframe, they set a pose on the frame where that contact happens. All right? And that's bad workflow. And here's why. Every single time, no matter what you do, everything you do in your scene in some way is going to survive, it's going to live, it's going to persist through all the way through the entire lifespan of that shot. Okay? Every single thing you do. So that's why good workflow is important, because if you are doing things out of order or you're making little mistakes or whatever, you need to be sure that they're not those mistakes or those those things that you don't want in your scene, that they're not going to survive to the end of your shot. So if there's a little hitch in blocking, you can be sure that in the polished version of that shot, there's going to be something surrounding that little hitch that is always going to be there, unless you completely wall it off with keys and blow it away and redo it, right? So if you are the kind of person that, it's not the kind of person, you're not a bad guy or girl, but if you have so far been keying that moment where the hand actually touches that, then the danger is that you're going to have the most subtle, basically slow in to that pose. All right, because it's actually kind of hard to fast in everything on that. So what you do instead is you just key the arcs of the moment of contact, okay, and make it so that the heavier object is influencing the lighter object, okay. And all that you have to do is, once they are touching and once they are connected, you just have those good arcs after that. And you don't even have to key the frame. I like to do this just because it makes a harder, snappier contact. I have a keyframe here. I have a keyframe right before they touch. Okay? And then I have a keyframe that they're together, but they've both moved. Okay? I don't even show the frame, right? So frame 1, frame 2, and then frame 3 right here. Don't even show the frame where they actually touch, right? Because then they both come perfectly to this moment, and that would be a slow in, right? So instead, I key the new arc starting on this frame when they've actually touched each other, and how that's going to affect, like, slow down my hand moving. And obviously this is going basically a total fast in to this moment, because there's not even a frame where it comes to a stop. It's traveling this way. Very next frame, it's actually traveling the other way. Do you understand that? Okay, I hope you do. If you want about 90 minutes of really in-depth examples of all of that, and how it even applies to walking. Yep, walking. Then you can check out the contact lecture that's in the store. So why does this affect the combat shots so much? Well, the reason is because so much of a really big interacting shot has to do with that contact, that if you're like in a 100 frame shot, if there are like 15 moments of contact, and every single one is like this, like soft, like slow in, like to everything, then your shot's just going to fall very, very, very flat. Whereas instead, if there's a lot of snappy, hard, really, really, really intense, well keyframed, dynamic contacts, then you're starting off on the right foot. Okay. That's the major advice that I would give with a combat shot, is that you need to really understand contact and make your contacts extremely strong, especially to start off. Good workflow is for you to have it to be way too strong and then dial everything back. Okay? That's good workflow. Bad workflow would be to just keyframe everything straight ahead, and like when someone like punches the other one, to actually have a keyframe where the guy's fist is out and it's like perfectly lined up like to the other guy's jaw, and you're keying it and just making sure that, you know, this frame like looks perfect. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You key the arcs, okay? So that person winds up, and you have the next keyframe you have is like right here. And if in that in between, as you're keying that arc, if the guy's head is coming this way and the fist is coming, you know, at it, you know, and here's a frame and then here's a frame, you don't screw everything up. Don't change everything to make it so that this is a frame or whatever. No, 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 no. This is a frame. This is a frame. Keep on keying on the arc. The next frame looks like this. Okay? That's the way you do it. All right? And you also need to make sure that everything is still, and especially because this is a two-character shot where they're interacting very, very, very intensely, everything is very centered in the hips. Very centered in the hips. Every single movement, you really need to show that weight shift. Because if you don't, and all of a sudden this fist comes out of nowhere and hits the other guy, and it doesn't look like the weight was behind that punch, you're not only going to have like what looks like, oh, that's a badly keyed punch, but you're going to have like, wait, hold on, how did all that weight just get transferred to the other guy? So it's going to look like he's getting hit with a, you know, just like whacked with a feather, and he's flying the other way. Okay? So if you don't center all your actions in the waist, you're not just screwing up one character's movement, you're actually screwing up one character's movement and another character's reaction to that movement. Okay? So very, very important. But if I had to zero in on one thing, it would be contact is so essential to knowing how to do a combat shot. Okay, then in terms of staging and choreography, I'm not a fight choreographer. I know it looks good. I can direct a good choreographed fight, but I can't really give too much advice in terms of like how, you know, martial artists set themselves up and want to stage their own fight, you know, high ground and position and all those kinds of things. That comes down to reference. A lot of, for instance, when I was teaching the Animals and Creatures course at Animation Mentor, it kind of dawned on me about 2 weeks into it that as a mentor of a course like that, you have to be a bigger expert on the reference that the animators are bringing you than even they are, and that's really difficult. So this is the same kind of thing. It comes down to reference, and it comes down to what kind of fight that you're doing. I will say this though, in closing, that every single fight scene that I have seen animated was heavily referenced. And I'll tell you a fun story. I was at ILM. This was during my apprenticeship, and I used to go get a hot chocolate from the kitchen, and I would walk around, and I would you know, go say hi to all the people that I knew and I had met. And one person was actually sitting in the office with this guy that had a. This was during episode 2 when they were working on Star Wars episode 2, and he was. He had the model of Yoda on his screen in T-pose. There was a lightsaber model, you know, hovering right in front of his hand. And then right next to it, there was a TV, and they were watching a kung fu film. And I had my hot chocolate, and I looked, and I'm like, Yoda, lightsaber, kung fu. Yoda, lightsaber, kung fu. And then I'm like, oh my God, and I said out loud, oh my God, Yoda's going to be in a lightsaber battle? And because in episode 1, all you saw of Yoda was he started out pretty darn old, right? He started out pretty, you know, pretty old, and he also looked like 70s with his sideburns. He was bad in episode 1, the puppet, really bad idea. You know, in episode 1, he started out old, but you never would have expected that he was going to be like total badass with the lightsaber, right? So this was a secret they were really trying to keep quiet. And so I was like, wow, that's really cool, guys. And I sipped my hot chocolate and I walked out. Like, it wasn't like 10 minutes later, I get a phone call, and it was the the manager, the animation and lighting manager, which is kind of like a production, like a management position, not a creative position, but a management position. And he calls me into his office. I go in there and he says, "Listen, we need everybody to kind of just keep to their own work. We need to make sure that people aren't going into random offices and looking at things and seeing things that they shouldn't, okay? So what you think you saw, you know, is not what you think it is, but even still, we need to make sure that you don't talk about anything or even make any guesses as to what's going on these projects." And I was scared out of my mind. I was so freaking scared. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm fired." But at least I thought I was going to get fired, and at most I thought like already damage had been done. And to honestly, it would have. There was something that they announced that it was going to be a CG Yoda, and then he was going to do a lightsaber battle. Somebody blabbing about that weeks in advance and just like blowing that whole news could cost them millions of dollars, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, but the whole point of the story was that even guys at ILM were spending all day just watching kung fu films in reference for that fight, and not just diving in and trying to invent a fight. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that. All right, that's it. Thanks for that awesome question. Please send more questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I love your questions. I love your My Files. You can send those to me as well, and I enjoy answering them. Stay tuned on the homepage of kennyroy.com. Please share the kennyroy.com homepage link to your friends so we can bring as many people as possible to the site to watch these webcasts on Friday. First one is this Friday with Mike Mattizi, author of Force, Dynamic Life Drawing for Animators. Mike is an amazing artist, and of course he's going to be a huge impact on our program here at Collabs. So thanks a lot to Mike. That'll do it. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.